All right, guys, welcome to another Diesel Performance podcast. Solo today, Chris Emke. And we have Andrew from HP Tuners with us. Andrew, how are you, man?
What's up, man? Thanks for having me today. I appreciate it.
I
Seriously.
appreciate you taking some time. You're the busy one here. I just hang out all day.
Seems like it.
So, Andrew, I wanted to bring you on. I wanted to talk about some of the cool stuff you guys have going on over at HPT and kind of debunk some common misperceptions that, some of the hardware companies versus the tuning companies have. But I'd say for starters, give us a little background on you. How did you get to where you're at now as far as, background in the industry and things like that?
All right. So this is a crazy kind of situation. So I've always been kind of an off-road guy.
Okay.
I had a shop before I worked for HP Tuners. I traveled the country doing a lot of shows, helping some of my vendors as well. Overall, I worked this one specific show called the Unlimited Off-Road Expo, and so you get to meet a lot of people in the industry, and it kind of grew from there. So long term, basically, I ended up starting a YouTube channel with another guy. He was actually the producer of that show. We went on a trip called Trail to SEMA, and I spent a whole month with my former boss at HP Tuners, who was the first employee, been around for a long time, and he said, "Do you want to come work for me?" And I was like, I like what I got going on here. I enjoy this shop a lot. And he's like, "Man, great company." And I've always been passionate about HP Tuners. We used it in my shop. I'm not a calibrator, but we used it for gear and tire and some different things on some Jeeps and stuff. So with my background in fabrication and off-road, it was kind of a natural fit. I went on as the channel sales manager. I started working with some of the larger accounts, and history was made, man. I'm here. I'm doing this every day. So I'm now the diesel and off-road segment sales manager. So
Okay.
handle that. So it's great.
So what's interesting here is your background is more in like gasoline off-road stuff, not necessarily like the diesel background, right?
Yep, absolutely. So I'm
Okay.
a huge Jeep guy. Actually, I drive a buggy now. I've got a buggy with a 6 liter in it, actually. So 6 liter LS, obviously. But yeah.
There you
So,
go.
yep.
Very cool. One of the things that I find unique, for us as a company, right, at Calibrated, we've always used some of like the other tuning platforms, and then like the L5P was really kind of like that segue into the relationship with HP Tuner, and HP Tuner had offered support for diesels prior. Like the L5P wasn't like the first platform, but
Right.
it seemed like L5P was kind of like that platform that the diesel industry started to recognize HP Tuner a little more.
Correct. So, we were an LS shop for years. I mean, that's our bread and butter. It's where we cut our teeth. Our owners, who are still our owners today, great guys, they're passionate about motorsports, and, they were tuning their own stuff, learning like everybody else learned back then, which was, they have a really fantastic story if you ever are lucky enough to hear it. But, we also do Cummins. We have full Cummins support. We have 5967. We go all the way back to 849, 848.
Yep.
So we go way back there. We all also do all the way up to 2450, all the newest stuff. We do 6 liter, 6.4. We do 6.7 Power Strokes. A lot of people don't know that because they just know us from L5P,
Right.
and we do a lot more. And we actually are so passionate about the way we build the software and our flash times and our logging and stuff. So they take that same passion and put it into each application, which I think is really cool. But you're right, L5P, we're the only guys on the block doing it. So it really kind of just opened a door, I guess, so to say, to a market of people who have been using competitors' products for years. And
Right.
It's not without its challenges every day, especially someone coming from a different type of tuning platform to our tuning platform. But we
Right.
seem to have, enough tools in place and enough knowledge, in-house to help folks get, started and off their feet pretty fast.
No, I could say from a customer's perspective, I've played with EFI Live, right, for example, for a long
Yeah.
time, and then I have an LS gas car that I had remotely tuned, and the preference of hardware was HPT. So I ended up getting an MPVI and doing the read and the flash, and then the data logging. And there's a lot of good tutorials that HPT offers for someone novice getting into this, where you could be an expert in flashing a truck with a different software or a car with another software. But HPT, it does have a little bit different approach, I guess you can say, and kind of the navigation and the tools. But they do a really good job as far as, having the user tutorials and things like that on like YouTube and things like that to be able to fall back on.
Oh, absolutely. YouTube is such a huge resource. I mean, obviously we know for anything, but specifically HPT, we have simple videos from how to take an info log or a debug that we build in house to, we are always adding new content every day. We've worked with a gas tuner named Alex Pites. He's done some tutorial videos for us. And, we also have some partners like Goat Rope Garage out there that, they do a lot of LS classes, I guess, so to say, or, how-tos or whatever you may want to call it. But yeah, it's nice to have those resources when, you're kind of stuck or you're in your garage or, you're just the guy tuning his own cars, for your hobby. So we saw a lot of that during COVID, so when all the pandemic was going on, it was like everybody
DIYs.
Oh man, they came out of the woodwork. It's like everybody had all this time and you had your project car, your project truck, your project buggy, whatever it may be. And plenty of time to use it and tons of income. So it was great.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that I get a lot from guys is, oh, I have a vehicle and it's tuned, an HP tuner tuned it, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Let's debunk some of that. HP tuner is not a tuner. HP tuner is a tuning platform.
Correct. So, I'll keep it by the book as much as possible here. And I'll read you actually what's on our website. And it makes a lot of sense because it does debunk those myths right there. So HP Tuners designs and manufactures software and hardware tools for vehicle diagnostics, scanning, logging, calibration, and data acquisition purposes. The authorized use of such tools is to bring a motor vehicle into emissions compliance and to maintain emissions compliance, as well as for competition racing or other exempted vehicles. HP Tuners does not create or provide tunes or pre-made calibrations. Right there on our website. It's crazy to say, but a lot of people say, oh man, I'm all HP tuned up. Well, yeah, you've used our software and our platform, but the way that we've grown our business over the years is, and our bread and butter is our shops, man. People like, Duramax Tuner, for instance, right? Like, there's a million great shops out there, but, folks actually learning the software, delivering their own calibrations with our tool. So It's great.
No, so you always get that confusion of like, but there's an editor to what you have using that platform. There's always that other person there.
That's right. And, I hate to like say this, but because it kind of convolutes the situation, but if someone's not happy with the tune they even had, right? If they had actual knowledge, they could continue to change their tune had it not been locked down or restricted. So,
right.
And there's kind of a whole different thing there, right? But like for people with, gas cars, especially track days, things of that nature, you'll make constant changes, Yeah.
So even the temperature and the air density, could cause the calibration to be tweaked.
Yep.
Now, one other thing with HPT that I've been seeing recently is the diversity in support. Okay. I know HPT is an LS-based platform, right? And then, the diesel platform, and now you're seeing side-by-sides and all these different things. So I guess it further diversifies what HP Tuner is actually capable of, right? As a tool.
Absolutely. The unique thing about HP Tuner is that we have a one device philosophy, right? So you sell one device to your customer, and we offer calibration diagnostic support for everything in your fleet. So from your, wife's Mercedes Benz, right? You daily drive an Audi car with a diesel, right? Your kid's F-150, your LS Swap Camaro Resto Mod, your Mustang track car, your Duramax tow rig, your off-road rock crawler, your jet ski, your Can-Am Maverick. I mean, it's crazy. We strive to handle the majority of vehicle applications out there, whether it be import, domestic, power sports, gas, or diesel. So that's super handy. I mean, it's really cool. And, if you want to just add something else, you still have the same device. It's just a couple of credits and, go on to the next one, move to the next one. Yep.
Now, one of the things, I don't know how I want to approach this first, but as far as taking on a new platform, right? Like maybe not in today's standards of what you guys have R&D wise, but when you guys get into like a new platform, let's say 5 years ago, okay, getting into a new LS platform, whatever, what's that process look like? Like, what's the general process for supporting a new ECM?
So it's a super difficult question to answer, and I won't get into too much detail, but because we don't discuss how we develop new
For
applications
sure.
or platforms.
And it's
But
changed. I mean, the thing is it's changed from 10, 15 years ago till now.
absolutely. I mean, I don't know. Maybe back then, before I worked there, it was like, hey, we think this is cool. Let's start this or whatever. But, we do a ton of due diligence and market studies before we attack a new area of business. And we really make sure that it's something that's, there's a lot of demand in the market
Right.
overall, I would say. And, we still even do a lot of due diligence there. I mean, that's actually a lot of that's put on our sales team. So we do a lot of work to make sure that, we're actually releasing new things that are applicable to the market. Now, obviously there's, encryptions and all kinds of, crazy new things that the OEs are doing to try to lock us out or keep us from doing things. So it makes that job much more difficult overall, but we have a great engineering team, man. They're freaking stellar. And so, we just, keep working, keep plugging along. I mean, we have new applications coming out literally almost every few weeks. It seems like yesterday we had Polaris launch. I mean,
I
that's
saw that. Yeah.
massive. I mean, side by side market, Can-Am, Polaris now, the BRP, all the jet skis. I mean, it's crazy to imagine, I talk to a lot of diesel shops and, as a sales manager, and my conversation is, to the tuners that I talk to, I'm like, hey, do you do side by side tuning? They're like, no. And I'm like, how many of your customers do you think that pull in with a truck have a side by side? And they you see it work in their head for a moment. And they're like, like almost all of them. I'm like, yeah, I figured so. So it might be something you want to get involved in. And, it's a growing market. And, we're attacking that market differently than our competition as well. I mean, we're offering a custom tuning solution. So it's not, you pull out your handheld, you select 1, 2, 3, or 4, you flash it and go. You're actually, you're actually working with a tuner to develop a cal based on your vehicle and the modifications you've done to your vehicle, or just that you want something more, maybe a little more low end throttle response, or all the way to, I want, 200 horsepower or whatever. So.
Oh, that's crazy. And I mean, I like your approach at that, like for guys that we work with, someone wanting to increase their towing capabilities with their truck. Well, what are you towing with that truck? Well, I have a side by side, I have four-wheeler, I have this, I have that. And now, you have that one tool, once again, kind of groups everything in a software that, these guys are already familiar with, and attacking it from another perspective of it's that shop that was working on that truck or something along those lines versus, being in a speed shop or a power sports shop, more or less, where they're going to get that CAN style program.
That's correct. And, like I said, our approach is quite different, but it's been really great for us. I mean, we're one of the largest tuning companies out there, and calibration companies, diagnostics companies out there. So we do a great job at that. So it's been good.
Now, what would you say as time has progressed and these ECMs have become more sophisticated? What's been one of the most challenging attributes going into new platform support compared to some of the older stuff?
I think for years, a lot of the stuff was real similar, so to say, I guess is the easiest way to explain it without going into too much detail, right? Like, platform A is similar to platform B, which is similar to platform C, right?
Right.
LS platform, for instance, right? It's not as difficult to move forward and progress, right, over the years. And now we're seeing that everything is quite different. They're all based, there's different architectures out there, different securities, different encryptions, so it makes it really, really difficult to, and a challenge for us to you ever expand your engineering force. We have a massive, really awesome engineering team, but, you have to hire more and more of those type of people in order to do the job properly, because, the manpower it takes is just mounting. But you also think, one platform that comes from an OE probably has, 100 or 150, 200 people working on one single platform, when we may have two, or at the time we may have had two. So it makes it a challenge. I mean, you're trying to basically unravel that work and then re-ravel that work, right? So that's crazy. It's hard, difficult.
Now, with the complexities of the ECMs and things like that, you and I have chatted about, offline, stuff like that. What's the future look like with, the way the industry is going with ECM complexity and things like that with some of the new platforms?
Man, that's a great question. We're constantly evolving. We're adding new applications seems like day. I'm just kidding, but almost weekly. And we just released the Polaris. Like I said, that was yesterday. It's just always constantly growing. The best way for someone to, see what we have going on is just to hop on our website, get on our mailing list. Our marketing team does an awesome job of relaying new applications as they come out. And for the guy that just doesn't know what all we tune, and maybe, he bought a device from you guys or whatever, right? Like, go to hptuners.com, click on the vehicles tab, scroll through it and see if you can find your vehicle, your wife's vehicle, your kid's vehicle, your resto mod, whatever it may be, right? Go click on that and see. I mean, you'll be very surprised at how many applications we actually do support. It's overwhelming.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking some time just to kind of go through the ins and outs. Is there anyone special that you would like to give a shout out to?
No, man, I just want to really, really thank you for, having me on the show today. I appreciate it. Thanks for Duramax Tuner Calibrated Power. You guys have been a great partner to HP Tuners. I love seeing the direction you guys are going as well, which is awesome. The turbo thing is great. You guys are really, 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 you're pushing the envelope for the industry as a whole, which I think is huge. And no, man, I really have a great time working with you guys, and I appreciate you guys, and thanks for having me on today.
No, I appreciate you taking up the time, Andrew. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
What's up, guys? It's Anthony, and I'm here with Super Tech Jeremy today for our in-shop segment. What's going on, Jeremy?
Not much. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. So we've got some L5P information, shop work going on. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. Kind of give the viewers a rundown. What have we been doing in the shop this week?
Well, we've talked about it in the past, how I've done DPF on 2021 L5P, the iBuild diesel truck. We talked about that last week, and then
the truck's a nice color too.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful.
I think we're all big fans of that truck for sure.
Yeah, it's a sexy truck.
Yeah.
I've been driving it for the past almost 2 weeks now.
It's been a couple weeks.
So I've got about 500 miles on that truck in the seat. So previously we did the segment in the shop where I was putting a 6-speed conversion in, not 6-speed conversion, a shift kit conversion, the valve body upgrade. So just want to talk about my experience behind it, and then I also got to do another one where you got to drive it.
Yeah. So for the guys at home, I know we've talked about it before. There's no trans tuning for the 20 plus L5Ps.
Yeah, it's just it is what it is.
With that 10-speed, it's something that's actively being worked on by almost everybody in the industry at this point.
Yeah.
So we've transitioned over to a valve body kit, and kind of tell the guys what is involved in there, kind of what's included in the kit, and what's the main purpose of it.
So, like I said before, we took the valve body out of the truck. So you drop the pan, drop the valve body, and then we actually replaced the springs in 3 of the 6 solenoids. So they come with new springs. We take the old springs out, put the new ones in, and then we also drill a couple holes in the plate to make the line pressure a little bit higher.
So when I hear you talking about springs, I would say that's going to help with some of the shift quality.
Yep, shift quality.
And then you talk about the line pressure, so I mean that's going to factor into that as well. But similar to what I would say on like the LMLs, where we can control line pressure electronically, and even the 17 to 19 L5Ps, I mean that's going to help with the trans, putting the power down to the ground a little bit more efficiently.
This will do it mechanically instead of electronically.
Yep.
So where it also helps with like the 4, 5, 6 shift, because that's your common gear at 30, 40 miles an hour.
Yeah, I mean, when you get up to certain speeds, even accelerating, you're in certain speeds, you're in certain gears, those correlate, but being able to refine the shifting in those specific gears is going to make, because we all know when you tune these trucks, the D-fuel is pretty substantial.
Oh, yeah.
As you tune them, even on the older trucks, once you're asking more out of the truck, the trans with that same D-fuel now becomes more pronounced.
Yeah.
And this is something that's going to help alleviate that from being so aggressive.
Yeah, and you don't feel it at all either.
Yeah.
So, and that's the best part about it. So, because usually with the shift kit in the older trucks, you can feel it, especially in a diesel.
Yeah.
When it defuels, you feel it downshift.
It's pretty aggressive. But like you said, you did I built my diesel truck.
Yep.
And Nick has one. We did some prototype testing in his 20.
Yeah, he has a 20.
Okay.
And then this is my 4th one actually.
Okay.
So, and then like I said, we got to do another customer's, his 21 dually.
Yeah, and for the listeners at home, I think almost all of us has taken a ride in Nick's 20 Denali.
Yes.
Granted, that's got our stealth, that's got the pressure kit on there. I drove that, I want to say fall or summer of last year when we were doing some turbo testing.
Oh, yeah.
He told me to go out, beat on it, get a feel for the charger. I mean, the most pronounced thing was the D-fuel.
Yes.
And then I had a customer bring in, I believe it was a 21 dually. And after you install the pressure kit, it was a night and day difference between Nick's truck stock and then this one with the kit in there. Like, you can still feel the gear change, and you can tell, okay, it's shifting, but it's not like bringing you in and out of the seat like they are stock.
So, and then the I Build Me diesel truck, so it's got our prototype 64 on it. So with that, so it's actually a different driving truck as in a stock truck too. So it's different animal. You know?
And it's nice because, I mean, everybody wants trans tuning. Trans tuning makes or breaks a lot of the trucks in the 68s. I mean, guys have called and just wanted to buy trans tuning from us just for those trucks. L5Ps, I mean, just it improves the driving scenario and driving feel, I would say.
I'm curious to see. I might be taking it on a little bit of a longer trip here. So I'm curious to see how it's going to do on a longer trip with fuel mileage and just in general, you know.
Cool. So, no, I appreciate that. I think that gives the guys a lot of, at-home listeners kind of what we've been up to, what we have to look forward to. As of now, we're only offering it as an in-house job because there's a lot of drilling and stuff.
It's a lot of.
If you got to be very precise. So we'll get you guys next time. I'm sure I have an update from you from the trip, and we'll catch you guys later.
All right, thanks.
What's up, guys? It's Anthony from Industry News, and today I have Sean Lynn with Customer Support with me today. Just want to touch base on a couple things we have going on in the industry. Previously, Sean, I know you follow along with the other bits and whatnot. We had some issues with Rudy's Diesel. They have their spring and fall truck jam going on. There were some issues with scheduling last year. I don't know what happened exactly, but they said there's some issues with them scheduling for their fall truck jam and spring truck jam. But they actually just released on Instagram the other day that their fall truck jam has found a new home. So they usually do a fall and a spring, different locations. This one's going to be in Rockingham Dragway in Rockingham, North Carolina. Previously, the spring had the issues with the scheduling, but nice to see they got everything worked out there. Nothing really new going on, I should say, that we've got to share. We're working on a lot of prototype stuff here on our end, talking about L5P turbos, working on the DT44 for the 2.8, but just wanted to share that news with the fall truck jam. Side note, Lynn, you've got some EcoBoost issues, I heard. Or you got something to share with us on that side?
Yeah, so I've been talking with the guy that just bought our EasyLink tuning for his 18 EcoBoost, and he was basically going through the different tune levels that we have. We have a tow, a street, and then a race tune, if you will, for the EcoBoost trucks. And he was just curious as to what octane he could run with these tunes. And all of them are able to adjust based on your octane. But the difference is with a tow tune, we can adjust from 87 octane to 93 with some E85, providing you have a 17 and newer truck. And then the sport tune and the race tune, basically you need to run at least 91 octane. Some guys can get away with running 87, but we run 91 as a minimum just in case, because we are commanding more and there's more potential for knock if you're not running at least that octane level.
And then for the guys at home who listen, who have the EcoBoost tuning from us here at Calibrated Power, like you're mentioning, those flex tunes, because we have it split up in kind of two different sections, if you will. You've got the flex tunes, which can run, we encourage guys to run higher quality fuel, the premium stuff, so everything runs more efficiently. But you can run standard gasoline, then blend in some E85. But in this scenario, you said the customer was he running lower quality fuel? I thought I might have heard something about this on the phones, or kind of, what was he running?
Yeah, so the reason why he called in is because he loaded the sport tune on there, and he was getting some drivability concerns, like the truck just was not responding the way he thought, and he was just running straight 87 in it. So at that point, I went and walked him through exactly what the tune requires and what we recommend, and I told him, like, basically, if you really want to run 87, throw in some E85. You can run up to 10 gallons if you got a 26-gallon tank on a 17 or newer truck, or you can run up to 15 gallons if you have a 17 or newer truck. You can mix it with 87, 89, 93.
So there's a lot of freedom there. And because I know I get calls like this all the time on the sales side, and you get them post-sale, you get them on the support side, that we have recommendations. I mean, you want to stick to those recommendations if you want the best drivability, performance, and just a truck that's going to, because the big thing also is once you get into the power band, lower quality fuel, that's where I feel like it's going to rear its head. You're going to get, it's going to start to pull timing out those safeties or those thermo limits, because I know Nick did a very nice blog post on that. That stuff's going to kind of kick in there. So we've got the recommendations to run the higher quality fuel, or if you are running 87, maybe you don't have access to it, because I know some stations only have the low quality stuff, you can throw some ethanol in there. That'll kind of counterbalance it, per se, so that way you can still take full advantage of the tune. Does that sound about right?
Yeah. if you want to run lower quality fuel and you don't want to pay the extra, we understand. The way to make the truck respond better without paying more for fuel is to simply put some E85 in there. I mean, even just putting 5 gallons in is going to help because it's just going to bring your octane number up so you can get the benefited, you can get more benefit from the tuning basically by increasing your octane level.
Yeah, higher octane, better performance. I mean, that's the name of the game. That's why, I mean, guys who are running, higher quality fuels, I mean, trucks always run a little bit better, and that's why we prefer it on the tunes. We appreciate that, Lynn. That kind of gives guys an insight to what goes on day to day, and on the topic of EcoBoost as well, Sean and myself are actually going to kind of be taking a sidestep off of our YouTube channel. So, we're very informative. We have diesel insights. We like to share with you guys what we got going on in the shop. We're going to kind of do a little channel that's we're going to call it EcoBoost Versus. Now, what it entails is Sean over here has a 3.5 F-150, and the truck's what year again?
20.
It's a 20. Okay. So, we're very familiar with that platform, but we also want to branch out and show you, what is an EcoBoost tow like? How does it drive compared to a gas F-150, a 5-liter, or the Ram 1500s, the Silverados. We've done some touching on how diesel compares to gas, but we're going to try to transition. We're going to talk about towing, drivability, creature comforts, what's available in the aftermarket. I mean, we all know that AMS makes some nice stuff. There's turbochargers that we're getting into. The Garrett PowerMax chargers are out there as well. So we're just going to go through and kind of, bring you guys some new content on what that channel entails. Then, do you have anything else to throw in there, Lynn?
Yeah, we've had people asking on the YouTube channel when Nick did the Duramax versus the 5.3 Chevy towing comparison video, and we want to bring that content to you guys. So, turbocharged V6 versus naturally aspirated V8, I think is going to be one of the big things we're going to go with.
It'll be a lot of fun. Like I said, towing comparisons, 0 to 60, just drivability as well, because not everybody's always beating on their truck all the time.
Yeah.
So it'll be nice to bring that up. I mean, keep an eye out for that in the next coming, I would say, couple months here before we start really rolling on it. And we'll catch you guys next time.
Thanks for joining us today, guys. This has been Paul Wilson.
And Chris Emke.
Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you again soon.
You got a sassy attitude.